Imagine that you have acne and it's getting really bad. It's getting worse every single day. And the first thing that you do is that you go see a doctor. And the doctor gives you some medications like pills, creams, and apply it on your pimples. And it does help. It actually heals and it's getting smaller. It's not that red anymore. But after a few weeks later, the same thing happens again. The acne comes back again. And it's as worse as the last time. And what you do? You go and see the doctor again. And what does the doctor do? Gives you the same medication again. Or maybe different medications this time. But you get the point. He prescribes you with some medications, you go apply it, and then boom, the same thing happens. It heals a little bit more. The pimples aren't that red anymore, and it's actually getting better. But then the exact same thing happens after a few weeks again. The process gets repeated, and you start to wonder to yourself, why does this keep happening? Well, that's because acne is just a symptom of the bad habits that you do, the bad sleep that you have, the trash diet that you have, of the other bad habits that you do. And instead of solving the underlying problem of your acne, you just mask the symptom, which are the acne. You just go and get some medication, pop some pills, and hoping that everything goes well. It does for a moment, but further on, it doesn't. It just gets repeated again. Well, this is what you face a lot in your life, but you just don't know it. You just don't realize it. Because instead of trying to take antidepressant pills, trying to go to a therapist and heal your problems and everything, why not we just solve the underlying problem of your depression? Why not we just solve that root cause of your depression? Now, even if you think you're not depressed, even think, wait, what the fuck? Oh shit. Now, even though if you think that you aren't depressed, even though if you think you are mentally perfectly fine, there might be a chance that you are, because back then I was categorizing myself as the mentally weaker people and constantly victimizing myself. But I didn't really realize that I had bad mental health until I went to solve it. Well, I still remember the nights when I was 13, and every single day when I come back home from school, the first thing that I would do is just play video games. Playing video games, and then after that, I would play like the whole day. And then when the night is nearby, I would scroll on my bed, and then the last thing that I would do that could only get me to sleep is to listen to sad, depressing music and cry myself to sleep. Every single night, consistently, this was like a routine to me. And I could hardly sleep because all I did was just eat, game, and scroll, cry. That was probably one of my lowest points in life, but I didn't really thought much about it, because I was just thinking, oh, I'm missing my old friends. I was thinking how hard going to middle school is, how stressed out I was. But I didn't realize that these were symptoms of bad mental health. These were symptoms of depression, because every single day I was listening to sad music. I'm not even talking about negative lyrics, just like sad music. You know, those type of like sad TikTok where they put some quote and then like they have this trending TikTok audio where it's just like really depressing music and everything. I listened to that every single night just so I could sleep. Now, of course, this guide doesn't just apply to guys, only male or female. As long as you take the action that I'm about to explain to you, I can guarantee you that your life will definitely change from this guide. And I will cover 7 things in this guide, which are purpose, environment, social connections, consumption, beliefs, burnouts, and sleep. My promise to you is that within 2 weeks of taking action in this guide, you'll become a significantly more positive figure in other people's life, appreciate life more, be happier, and the most important one, you'll stop being depressed. Now, this is a long video. It's going to be really lengthy, so if you don't have time or you just have shit attention span, you can split up the video by watching it throughout the day or throughout the week. Depends on how you want it to. Now, before I start, I have a free 30-minute habit breaking strategy session that you can book in the top link in the description below. The first thing, which is the most important thing that we're going to cover today, is purpose. Every man has a gift to the world, and this is a quote by The Way of the Superior Man. Now, the reason why we need purpose is because once we lack a sense of purpose, we don't contribute things to the world. And by that, we will start thinking that we're worthless, and being too idle, which means that you're not doing anything, you tend to start question yourself. What is my need in this world? You start to question your existence, and this will spiral down and lead it to depression. Despite being male or female, you need a goal or a task to work on. You need something to focus on, so you have this clear direction of where you're heading towards in life. In a way, not having a purpose will make you become stupider, because when you don't have this clear task to work on every single day to improve and progress on, your cognitive functions will decline, which are different parts of your region of your brain, making decisions, problem solving, attention span, and so on. Now, with that being said, of course, I don't want you to just go get a purpose for the sake of getting a purpose, because in the end, you're not going to enjoy the daily tasks required to achieve that purpose, because every purpose has to have a purpose behind it, if you know what I mean. I know it's kind of like weird, like wishy-washy shit, but you kind of get what I mean. So your actionable step in this section that you can do today is to close off everything. You can maybe just pause the video after I say what I have to say, or just do it after the video, but of course you have to write it down and remind yourself. Close off everything, zero distractions, no phone, no laptop, no devices at all. Just in a way blankly stare into the wall, stare into the void, and just think to yourself, what is a talent that you had since childhood? What is something that you were naturally good at, better than everyone else? So for example, maybe you wrestled a lot with your friends, like in a playful way when you were younger, and you were somewhat naturally good at it, and you kind of beat the fuck out of a lot of people. So maybe that's what your talent is. Or public speaking, maybe you've joined a lot of public speaking competitions since you were a child. Now, another thing to keep in mind is the problems that you are willing to go through, because no matter what you choose in life, no matter what you do, every single path, you will face problems. So instead of just letting the problems come to you, why not we choose the problems that we want to suffer through? Is the problem of facing people knowing your personal stories, your personal details and everything, how you quit porn and then making fun of you, is that the problem that you want to solve? Is that the problem that you want to go through? If not, then just keep on thinking to yourself until you get the right one. Now, don't let other people influence this purpose for yourself. Just follow your own instincts. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is environment. You are a product of your environment. So things around you dictate the kind of person you are. And there are two types of environment: physical environment and digital environment. So for physical environment, if your space is like cluttered, you didn't make your bed, you have bad lighting, you have weird posters, like I don't know who still does this, but maybe you have porn posters all around you, like your room and everything, then you are basically a fusion of that kind of negativity. And for digital environment, if you have these random tabs open when you like open Chrome, and then you have tabs on here, and most of it are unnecessary, unwanted distractions, then you basically don't have self-respect for yourself, because most likely when you have these tabs, it's for easy accessibility to these tabs or these apps. And having these around your workspace, or basically your devices, your digital environment, is just taking away your distractions. And having distractions around you is actively choosing to live poorly. So you can start by just clearing off the unwanted and unnecessary tabs or apps on your phone and laptop. clear off the history of maybe your porn websites or your video game websites. So when you want to search things like, you want to hypothetical situation, you're gonna search about parrots, and you type on P, and fucking like all these like porn history like pops up. You're gonna be tempted, you wanna click on it, and you say you're not gonna bust, but in the end you clicked on it, you fapped. So we do not want that to happen. We wanna decrease the likelihood of that to happen. So just start clearing off all these history and not accidentally going into these websites. So actionable step in this section is to tidy up your room. Just basically tidy up your environment. So if your desk is a mess, kind of rhymes, if your desk is a mess, then just start by clearing off things that you do not need and just keep it in places that you won't see it. And if you haven't made your bed like this morning, go make your bed right now. And for your digital environment, just clear off the unwanted things that you do not need. Clear off the unwanted social media, clear off the unnecessary tabs. The next thing we're gonna cover is social connections. You are the five. What the fuck? The next thing we're gonna cover is social connections. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So you gotta be careful of the people you surround yourself with, the people around you. And in a way, you're like the fusion of the people that you spend the most time with. And if your friend group is just these like normies, like not even normies, they're like below average people who just jack off to porn, play video games, and do all the bad habits, they don't go to the gym and make fun of you for it, then I think it's time to let them go. Because if you don't change them, they're gonna change you. You are going to automatically imitate the people around you, because we human as social creatures, you are going to want to imitate the people who are close around you just to fit in and seek the approval of the tribe. And if you don't do that, well, you're basically like an outcast. So for teens, this is peer pressure, and your brain does develop this reward system which includes dopamine whenever you act according to your peer. So instead of just letting the peer that you receive from other people do the opposite of what you want to do, why not we just join a tribe or a club or a community that where our desired behavior is the normal behavior there. And so when we act according to our peer, it's a good thing. So our brain still develops this reward system and gives us dopamine and wants us to repeat the actions to fit in with the majority. Now, of course, this isn't some excuse for you to just start being more lonely and then just cut off all the people just because you're an introvert or something, but just cut out the unnecessary people and still live with the people around you and still just like try to socialize with people. Because if you just start being lonely and just cut off all socializations, you might be more depressed than you were originally. So your actionable step in this section is to use and then next one is to just join a club or community where you want about like the habit that you want to improve on. So if you want to improve more on your habits and so on, join our Discord server, which I have like a link in the description that you can go join like right now. Bro, it's just so like fucking remote. Right, cheers. So the next thing we're gonna talk about is consumptions. You are what you consume. And now, anything that you consume basically dictates the type of person you are. So for social media, it is indeed a powerful tool, but a lot of people just use it as a source of instant gratification. That's because the phone usage for teenagers have been an all-time high of like 7 to 8 fucking hours. Can you imagine that? That's like 1/3 of your day. And studies have shown that over 41% of teenagers who have the highest social media usage are the ones who have the worst mental health, are the ones who are like depressed ones. And I don't give a fuck if like you just put it to listen to music or some shit. Having a screen time over 4 hours is already like insane. And now like it's been bumped up to 7 to 8 hours per day. So it's like so fucked up how teenagers use their time nowadays. And in the end, like no shit, they have bad mental health, because that's where most of like the time of their day goes to. Now the content you consume shapes your identity. If you watch empowering educational videos like these, then you'll be more healthier. You're gonna become more, you're gonna improve more in life, you're gonna be better. But if the content you consume is like brain rot YouTube shorts, skip toilet type of shit with ADHD edits, those are the type of content which will basically worsen your mental health. And studies have shown that negative and distressing content will often produce adrenaline and cortisol in your body, which then initiates the fight or flight system in your body. And so this system is actually a great defense mechanism for us humans. Whenever you sense danger, either you fight the problem or you basically like you just flee the scene. But imagine a scenario where you're just like scrolling on YouTube shorts and they just have like this jump scare. Of course, like it sounds like a small problem, but when you actually take it like to another perspective, like long term of this will actually cause big impact on your mental health. So imagine you're just watching a YouTube short and there's like a jump scare. What do you do? That's what you do. You just like get shocked and then you freeze. Instead of like fighting, of course you can't fight your phone, or just flighting where just like no one throws their phone and just runs away. You just freeze. And this confuses your brain and just gets everything mixed up. Now this can be caused by news, like all the propaganda shit, and horror movies, the content, like distressing content that you consume, like these internet beef and everything, and even the music that you listen to. Now, if you're interested in knowing more about the music, I have a video specifically made for it where I will link in the description below, and if you want to search it, look something like that. Now, your actionable step in this section is to check your screen time right now. I don't care if you're like watching it on your phone or your laptop. Just open your phone, go to settings, check your screen time, and if like no matter how much hours or how much minutes it is, start to gradually decrease it. If you're like at 4 hours per day, start to decrease your screen time, maybe the next day 3 hours and 30 minutes, and then maybe the day after 3 hours and 15 minutes, and then 3 hours, 2 hours and a half, 2 hours, 1 hour and a half, something like that. Just gradually decrease the time that you spend on your phone, because quite frankly, the time you spend on your phone aren't used for productive things. Unless you're like a producer, unless you're pumping out content and making money through social media, sure, I'm all for it, go ahead. Now the next thing we're gonna cover is beliefs. Believe it, you can achieve it. I'm sure like you've heard it somewhere. And the reason for that is because if you do not believe that depression is real, then it simply doesn't occur within your life. If you believe that you can improve your mental health in a short amount of time, you will improve your mental health in a short amount of time. It's all about the perception that you have towards things. People think they have shit mental health because they have depression, but in reality, it's just you have depression because of your shit mental health. So start by casting votes towards that new identity that you want to shape, and not hold back to that identity of yourself, that old beliefs of yourself where you keep saying to yourself, oh, I still can quit video games, or porn, I still watch porn, I'm still trying to quit it, or I'm not that morning person type of guy. Quit those beliefs and just start building this stack of undeniable proof of like you are who you say you are. So our actionable step in this section is to implement a manual positive thought right now. So let's say you've done all the actionable steps that I've said just now so far, then that is making progress and casting another vote towards the new identity of yourself who has good mental health. So just implement the thought towards yourself that I am making progress towards my mental health right now. I know it sounds a little corny, but just say this to yourself. Just implement this mental thought. Just implement more positivity in your brain and not have all these negative thoughts wrapping around your brain. The next thing we're going to cover is burnouts. When you burn, you are out. Alright, I just created that quote because I do not have any other quotes for burnouts. So burnout is basically the line that you cross after working working with intense focus for an excessive period amount of time. And you start losing intelligence after working so much. I'm not saying you become stupider, but it's just that your work performance just drops by a lot. And long term of burnouts can cause chronic stress and cortisol. And for the guys watching this decreases your testosterone, so keep that in mind. However, maintaining a good amount of stress, which is known as eustress, is actually good for you because it develops you and trains your problem solving skills and so on, and basically increases your work performance. This is the type of stress that is beneficial for you, and maintaining a good amount of eustress in your work periods is actually good. While the bad stress is actually distress. Distress is basically the type of stress that overwhelms you and makes you die earlier and basically just makes your mental health even worse. Knowing your burnout line is actually very, very important, so you don't casually overwork yourself and just make this chronic stress a long-term thing. So the actionable step in this section is to actually cross the burnout line itself when you're about to work. So this time you're actually going to be conscious about when your brain starts to burn out and it starts to just cause all of this mental stress for you, and your mental health just gets even worse. Be conscious about it so you work as much as possible, and it's 3 hours. And when it's 3 hours, you burn out. And after you burn out, basically the sweet spot of your flow state work is maybe 2 hours and a half, 2 hours to 2 hours and a half. So you can try and experiment between those to see what works for you best. Now the last thing that we're going to cover, which is one of the most important and crucial steps to improve our mental health, is sleep. Sleep is the cornerstone of all habits to self-improvement, and there are two factors that affect our sleep. Number one, the circadian rhythm, and number two, our sleep drive. Circadian rhythm is basically how our body adapts to the environment around us, and light is an important cue here. That's because our body produces this chemical called melatonin during the dark, and this is the chemical that basically puts our body in this mode to prepare for sleep, and it stops the production of melatonin during the day, or in a way, when we sense light. So you ever wonder why when you can't sleep and you start to scroll on your phone, and you wonder why the fuck can I still sleep? Well, overstimulation is one of the factors, but the other one is because you're beaming fucking blue light in your face in the middle of the night, the time where you're supposed to sleep. You're fucking putting so much light into your brain that your body tries to adapt to it and tells your brain that it's daytime. So now, of course, melatonin stops getting produced and you can't sleep. Now what about sleep drive? Your body can crave sleep just like hunger or thirst for water. And the more or harder activities that you do throughout the day, the more sleep drive is built. So that's why some days after a long hard grind, you can just lie down in your bed and just fall asleep, just black out, and tomorrow morning you just wake up energized. While some nights you lie down in your bed for 2 hours, 3 hours, and you still can't sleep after binge watching a TV show on your couch the whole day. That's because low energy required activities don't build sleep drive. Not really using any mental energy or physical energy, so you don't feel fatigue, you don't feel the need to sleep, and therefore you can't sleep.
Deprivation.
And having bad sleep will cause sleep deprivation. And there's a study that shows that sleep deprivation actually causes brain fog and slows down your neurons' ability to communicate with each other, which is like the neurons throughout your whole body. And this affects your memory and your visual perception, so your brain registers things slower. So if you were rushed by a guy with a knife towards you and you were sleep deprived, then you would register the situation slower. You would react to it slower. So compared to you being energized, you would run away from that guy like maybe a few milliseconds slower. So in a way, being sleep deprived and not having good sleep, not optimizing your sleep, is voluntarily putting yourself in danger. How fucked is that? So your actionable step in this section is, before you sleep today, don't use any devices 1 hour before you go to sleep, or if you really have to, just go search up a quick YouTube tutorial on how to turn on grayscale and try to fill up your day as much as you can with productive habits that actually make you fatigued, so you can get better sleep. So I've covered everything that I promised to you from the start, which are purpose, environment, social connections, consumptions, beliefs, burnout, and sleep. And I hope that my scientific explanations actually give you a deeper understanding on what to work on to heal your depression and improve your mental health to become this newly healed and positive version of yourself. That's all for now, but before you go, if you relate to my advice and like me and would want me as your coach, you can book my 30-minute free strategy session, which is the top link in the description below, where we can discuss about solutions and frameworks to breaking your bad habits. Be the person who you're supposed to be. Peace out, my G. Take one, my boy.